So finally, we're going to have a look at your accounting IA2 with what to expect there. So it's an exam that's separated into 3 parts. You've got part A with some short response items. Now this consists of 2 questions that require paragraph responses of between 50 to 100 words each. And you need to demonstrate comprehension of concepts, principles, or processes in the context of fully classified financial statement reporting for a trading GST business. So all of the content that we looked at in the describing and explaining section, where, for example, you need to understand the limitations of financial statements, the qualitative characteristics that guide the way that they are reported. These sorts of things are the things that you could be assessed on in this Part A section, your understanding and your ability to describe and explain them. Part B is a practical item. So it's one practical item that means that you need to synthesize and solve a goal-orientated problem relating to fully classified financial statement reporting again. So you're going to have unseen stimulus that you won't have seen prior to the exam. And I encourage you to go to page 38 of the syllabus for more information about the practical item. You'll see some information that it gives around what the stimulus could involve and what the question could involve. And part C is your extended response item, one question requiring a business report extract response between 400 to 500 words. It will involve seen stimulus that will be provided 5 days before the exam. And you need to analyze and interpret financial data and information that will focus on either profitability or liquidity. And students must evaluate accounting practices to make decisions and propose recommendations to improve profitability and liquidity. So the question that you're given is more than likely going to encompass both, and you need to be providing recommendations and decisions about one that you choose out of profitability or liquidity. So this is an example question that not something that you would necessarily be asked to do in an exam because it's quite detailed and all-encompassing. But this is giving you an opportunity to have a practice with some of the things that we've covered today. So we've got a trial balance and a list of adjustments to be carried out. So this is giving you the opportunity to have a go at recording the necessary balance day adjustment general journal entries, create an adjusted trial balance. So the adjusted trial balance just has those additional account values that would have popped up in those balance day adjustments and the different values for the existing accounts. Then you would also prepare a fully classified statement of profit or loss and statement of financial position. And again, we looked at earlier how you can lay out these statements in different ways. So the statement of financial position can be narrative or account form and with or without working capital. I encourage you to have a go at different ones. So for me, I was very familiar with narrative form, particularly without working capital. And if that is you, then perhaps you want to have a practice with account form to make sure that you're familiar with that as well, and vice versa as well if your situation is the other way around. So just some final tips with some memorization strategies for those things that we've covered today. Pairs are assets is something that is really, really helpful, or it has been for me throughout my my history doing accounting. So pairs stands for prepaid expenses and accrued revenues, 2 of our balance day adjustments. So if you remember that pairs are assets and you remember that the other 2 accounts are the accrued expenses and the unearned revenues, you can use that process of elimination to know that those other two must be liabilities. In terms of GST, if it's included, so it is included, then you need to divide by 11. If it's not included, you need to divide by 10 in order to calculate the GST component. So earlier we had figures in our under and over provision examples where the GST was included, and we divided by 11 because of that. So if it wasn't included and we needed to calculate GST, we would divide by 10. So I remember this by is included is like I, so it looks like 11. Is not included, you've got the is again, but then you've got the O in not to make up that 10 instead. Also, to remember that drawings are debited or a debit, you've got the DR in drawings, which of course is that abbreviation for debit. So some general tips as well. I did not make use of the QCEA's resources until very late on in the piece. So I recommend that you go to the QCEA website and access what's available to you. You've got example assignments, past exam papers for the externals, different reports that are done for the subject each year that are predominantly aimed at teachers to give feedback on things like how they make the assignments and write the questions, but they can provide some great insights for you as well. Use the syllabus as a study guide. So this whole lecture is based on the syllabus content that you are asked to do. So if you can go through that yourself and understand it all, you can use it as that study guide to help you know where the gaps are. Make sure you use accounting terminology and an appropriate tone of voice. So something that students often do in accounting is they're a little bit too emotional in their language. So try not to make everything doom and gloom in the way that you write in accounting. It's that sort of formal kind of language. You wouldn't be describing how devastating something is and how awful it is. You need to describe if it's a poor situation for a business to be in, but using words that are not as crisis kind of orientated.